Hello, friend. Welcome to Stories for Slow Moments by Growing Up Nordic. Find your cozy spot. Are you ready? Let's begin. Seeds, quiet path. The garden was beginning to stir. Deep beneath the cool, dark earth, something very small and very quiet was happening. A tiny seed was waking up from its long winter sleep. Inside the house, on a sunny windowsill, sat a small clay pot. The little one had planted a seed there many days ago. Every morning, before the sun was high, they checked the pot. But the soil always looked the same. Still, dark and brown. To the little one, it seemed like nothing was changing at all. "What are you waiting for?" whispered the little one, leaning close enough to smell the damp, sweet earth. But the seed was on its own journey. It wasn't in a hurry to reach the light. It was taking its time, drinking in tiny drops of water, and waiting for the sun to warm the clay walls of its home. Beneath the surface, where eyes could not see, the seed was growing a tiny white root, a steady anchor to keep it safe and strong. The little ones sat on the wooden floor and watched. They remembered the snail they had seen in the meadow once, how slow can be steady, and how patience has its own kind of magic. They realized that growth doesn't always make a sound. Sometimes, the most important work happens in the silence. Then, one soft morning, the little one noticed a tiny crack in the soil. A small, bright green curl was pushing its way toward the window. It was no bigger than a fingernail, but it had so much quiet courage. It had pushed through the heavy earth to find the warmth of the day. The little one smiled, feeling a gentle calm inside. They didn't touch the sprout. They just watched it breathe in the morning light. They knew that the quiet path of the seed was just beginning. Soon it would grow leaves as soft as velvet. Soon it would grow tall. But for now, being small and green was enough. The old pine cones still sat nearby on the ledge, a reminder that every giant tree once started as a tiny, quiet seed. Endings and beginnings were sharing the same sunlit space. "Thank you, little seed," whispered the little one, and the tiny sprout seemed to lean just a little bit closer to the warmth of the glass. Moss nest. The forest floor was soft, quiet, and alive. A carpet of moss stretched in green waves between the roots of towering pine trees. It looked like a soft velvet sea, moving slowly in the shadows. The little one knelt down, letting their knees sink into the plush emerald cushion. Fingertips brushed over the tiny tufts. It felt springy, like little green clouds had fallen from the sky. A single drop of morning dew balanced on the tip of a moss leaf. It was perfectly round, holding the whole forest inside its tiny, clear walls. The little one watched it, wondering how something so small could be so perfect. It shone in the sunlight like a tiny, secret jewel. "Hello, moss friends," the little one whispered. The air smelled of damp earth and old pine needles. Nearby, a snail inched along. It moved across a moss-covered rock, leaving a silver trail that shimmered like silk. The little one followed its slow path, noticing how it never rushed, yet it moved with a quiet purpose. The forest seemed to breathe softly. The wind rustled the pine needles high above. Distant birds called out with soft, sleepy notes, and a hidden stream trickled somewhere nearby, over smooth, cold stones. The little one gathered tiny treasures from the floor. A smooth gray stone, a curled golden leaf, a soft white feather fallen from the canopy above. Each one was placed gently in a circle on the moss, creating a little nest of quiet joy. They imagined the tiny creatures who might live there. Ants scurrying through the green canyons, beetles hiding beneath the leaves, and maybe even a forest fairy, resting in the shade. Sitting back on their heels, the little one noticed patterns in the moss. There were loops and twists and tiny spirals. It looked like nature's secret handwriting, written in green. A soft breeze moved through the trees, carrying the scent of wildflowers and warm bark. The little one smiled, feeling a warmth in their chest that came from slowing down and simply being part of this tiny, quiet world. The little one carefully pressed the treasures back into their pockets, leaving the moss nest just as it was. "Thank you, forest floor," whispered the little one. And somewhere deep in the quiet, the moss seemed to nod, soft and welcoming. The little one realized that noticing the small things makes the whole forest feel like home. Sleepy Willow Bud. The air held the promise of green. The heavy winter snow had melted, turning into tiny streams that trickled and sang through the forest. The earth was waking up, singing quiet songs of spring to the roots below. By the edge of a still pond, a willow tree stood waiting. Its branches hung low, like long, sleepy arms draped over the water. At the very tips, tiny buds clung tightly. They were small, brown, and holding a secret. The little one walked to the water's edge, their boots making no sound on the damp grass. "Thank you for waking," the little one whispered. Each bud was wrapped in its own soft, fuzzy coat. It was a tiny blanket, sealed against the last of the cold winds. The little one reached up carefully, fingertips brushing the velvet tips. They felt warm, as if the tree were holding the heat of the sun inside its heart. The water in the pond was like a mirror, reflecting the blue sky and the quiet, waiting tree. Day after day, the little one returned to the pond. At first, the buds stayed closed, patient and still. They weren't in a hurry. But slowly, the silver tips began to peek through the brown coats. Then, pale green feathers started to unfurl, like tiny, gentle hands reaching for the light. The little one sat on a mossy rock and watched. They noticed how some buds hurried, bursting open all at once, while others waited longer, savoring the quiet time between winter and summer. A bright ladybird landed on one silver tip, testing the new green with its tiny feet. The willow branches swayed, slowly, as if the tree were stretching after a long, deep sleep. The pond changed every day, moving from brown to silver, to green, to gold. The little one understood something important. Spring doesn't arrive all at once. It whispers through the waiting. It lives in the buds that take their time, and the branches that remember the weight of the snow. When the first full leaves appeared, soft and trembling in the breeze, the little one smiled, not because the waiting was over, but because they had been there to see every quiet moment. "Thank you, Sleepy Willow," whispered the little one, and a single new leaf seemed to shimmer just a little bit brighter in reply. And that was our story for today. Wherever you are, and whatever the day looks like outside, remember there is wonder in the small things. Maybe today you will find your own little treasure. A soft sound, a pretty stone, or a gentle breath of wind. Sleep well or simply enjoy your quiet time. Until we meet again, friend.